Welcome back, sisters. We are live on the Hero Whispers and Supergirls with your chief Supergirl, Jeannie Marie, here tonight with an amazing, gorgeous actress on the rise, Chiara Nicole Gero, who is another fabulous Connecticut College alum. I just love that school. I meet the coolest people. Of course, my son goes there, as you guys know. But we're going to talk to her in a moment and learn more about her. For now, I just want to talk a little bit about the show in case it's the first time that you're tuning in. This is our podcast. Supergirls is a movement that I created to really inspire and empower young college women to launch into the real world, and also young college women alums to help them, to provide them with any tools they need to navigate the real world, whether it be money management, networking, career stuff, whatever it is they need. We want to be able to help and support them with mentorship or whatever they need. So that's what we do. And on the podcast, we actually get to meet these amazing women and hear about what they're up to and stay relevant in their lives. So thanks for tuning in. And without further ado, let me tell you about Chiara. My name is Chiara Nicole Gero. I am a 23-year-old American-Croatian living in Los Angeles, California. Last year, I graduated from Connecticut College with a degree in Sociology and Theater, and I am currently living and working in LA, pursuing a career in acting. In college, I was a member of the Women's Empowerment Initiative for 3 years before being elected as Artistic Director / Co-President my senior year. I hope to continue my work on women's rights throughout my life. I moved from Croatia when I was 18 to go to college. My family still lives there, while my younger sister currently works as a model in New York City. So we got New York, we got LA. I also love working with kids, enjoying the beach, and FaceTiming with my family whenever we can. Chiara, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, big, huge welcome. And also, just so you guys know, Chiara is hosting my son this summer. He's doing an internship at Sony Music. And she has been super kind to host him for a few weeks while he transitions into the living quarters. And I could not be more grateful to this girl for doing that and making my son feel comfortable. Of course, they were friends in college. But I just want to say shout out to you and thank you so much. Huge, big, fat heart going out to you, Chiara, okay?
Oh, thank you. We love having him here. He's such a joy to be around. He makes everything so much more fun.
Oh, thank you. He's an amazing human. I agree. So first of all, congrats on living your dream in LA, because not an easy thing to do, especially you're not even from America. I mean, the fact that you came over here to go to school, and that must have been a huge change. And I would just love to hear how you got inspired to follow your dream and how you made it all happen.
Great. So I moved to Los Angeles in September with a friend, and I tried to get on my feet. I knew that I wanted to get to Los Angeles, kind of to the West Coast. When I graduated, I did the 4 years of the East Coast, and I thought, what better time to, go into the sun and to LA than right after college. I had a full-time job for a while. But I decided that I moved too far from my family to not pursue a dream that I've dreamed about for so long. So I did a couple of months. I did 6 months of having a full-time job, trying to kind of get on my feet. But then I decided that I just have to take the leap. There's no point in kind of waiting anymore. There's a 9-hour difference between my family and I, time-wise. So we barely get to talk to each other. So I decided that in order to, kind of justify my moving so far away from my family was to just, take the leap and start pursuing what I've said I was going to pursue for such a long time. So that's kind of how it started. I just came here and did it.
Yeah. I mean, nothing like jumping in feet first. I mean, that's amazing. And is your family really supportive of you, doing this for yourself?
Yes, extremely. My parents have been so supportive. Shout out to my parents. They've been so supportive from the beginning. My father was very, very heavily involved in helping me get to college and kind of get through all the hurdles of being a non-international student, but still coming from a completely different country. So he really helped a lot with my college journey. But both my parents and my entire family, my sisters, everybody, my grandparents, everybody is extremely supportive of my dream, which has been the single, most important thing to me to keep driving me kind of to do what I'm doing. Because without their support, I don't know where I would be. So they're so supportive. I love them so much.
Okay, so what are your parents' names?
My mom's name is Natasha, and my dad's name is Mark.
Oh, no way. Mark, love that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, shout out to Natasha and Mark for being such awesome parents. We love that. I love when I have so many guests that are so much gratitude for their parents, and it's like so refreshing because you hear so many stories where there's not. So I want to give you a shout out for that and for recognizing, how hard it is and that they are so cool that they're really doing that for you. That's amazing.
Yeah, they're the best parents in the world. I know I'm biased, but they're the best parents in the world.
That's awesome for them to hear. I can't wait for them to hear this. So, do you have like a plan for how you're going to make this dream come alive?
I'm a big planner. I love to be organized. I don't have a plan per se. I do have a timeline. I like to give myself timelines of a couple of years to be here and to try. I've been very, very realistic about what opportunities are out there, especially for women, especially for tall women. I'm 6 feet tall. That is obviously a thing I think about a lot when it comes to acting. But I'm very fortunate to have a lot of connections and support from people that I think are going to be helpful to me in the future. So I don't have a plan. I think in acting, to be completely honest, I think in acting in any type of art career in that way, performance career, it's you can have a plan, but I think that things never really go according to plan. So I have a shell of a plan. I think that's how I'll call it, a skeleton. I do kind of have a skeletal plan.
I have to say, like, I think that about life. They have that saying, you plan, God laughs, so
Exactly.
I think that's good training because you'd be able to like think on your feet. When something happens, you react to it, you figure it out. It's great training for the rest of your life. So I'm sure you'll be fantastic. And I think tall women, I would think they would want that. Like models have to be tall like that, right?
Yes, they do. There is a couple of women that come to mind. I think about Nicole Kidman and Gal Gadot, but oftentimes I feel like a lot of actors, especially male actors, when you think about male counterparts, they're shorter than your average 6 foot tall Croatian. So we'll see how that goes. But it could have worked to my advantage. You never know.
That's right. You're going to stick out because you're so beautiful and tall. They can't help but say, "Oh my God, remember her? How can we not?"
Thank you. I'm flattered. Thank you.
How let's talk about Croatia for a second. How did you decide to move here to the U.S. for college? Given that it does sound like you have an amazing bond and connection with your family. Like, what made you make that choice?
It was very tough. Speaking of the bond with my family, it was very tough to make the choice to move. I have, 2 very young cousins that I'm very close with, and it's very hard not to see them grow up. But I kind of always knew I wanted to come to the U.S. I forget how young I was when I decided, but I think all throughout high school, it was very much a plan, and the plan started being put into motion kind of my sophomore year. And it really helped, again, to have my parents be so supportive of that choice. I like to think that I thought that America would give me more opportunities and more choices and more chances than Croatia would. It's wonderful and I love it, and it's my home and it's the most beautiful country in the world. But it's a little bit more conservative, a little bit more, less of what I wanted to pursue was being taught in schools and all that good stuff. So I felt like I was more outspoken than a lot of my peers in Croatia. And I felt like moving was only going to kind of helped me work on what I wanted to work on, women's issues, or also performance-wise. So I just made the choice. And also, I mean, I'm half American. My father's American, and we lived all our lives in Croatia. So at some point, I think it was a natural course for me to decide that when I was 18, when I graduated high school, that was the time that I was going to go off and do the thing, move to America, see how that works. So it kind of was always a plan, and it just worked out really well. And I was very, very lucky to be accepted into such a good school and to have a family that was supportive of me being like, I'm going to go now, I'm 18 and I'm going to fly the nest.
So scary. I mean, okay. And of course you end up at Con where there's a lot of outspoken people. So you went to the right place.
Yes.
Very opinionated, so. Very much so. I was like, oh my God, that couldn't have been the more perfect place for you. So, So let's talk about that for a second. The women's initiative that you worked on. And I know you did some performance around the Women's Initiative. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's really inspiring that you took it to the next level in your art.
Sure, of course. I always love to talk about the Women's Empowerment Initiative. So to break it down, the Women's Empowerment Initiative is an organization that started at Connecticut College. We were performing the vagina monologues, which we then decided as a school that it became a little too outdated, a little white feministy, and it was very kind of focusing on heteronormative issues. So we decided to make it our own. So the Women's Empowerment Initiative was born, and students at Connecticut College write monologues that are then performed by students at Connecticut College for, Connecticut College as well as the community. And it is a fundraiser for Safe Futures, and Safe Futures is a shelter for survivors of domestic and sexual assault. So it's an incredible cause. And it also encompasses storytelling of actual real stories from people who might not have the voice to express those stories. And they were so pertinent and so important to the college that it was just one of the best things that I've really ever done. I got involved my freshman year. I was cast in a musical, and I couldn't perform in the Women's Empowerment Initiative, but I did go see their dress rehearsal, and I was so moved by it that for my sophomore year, I applied to be a director, one of the directors. So for 2 years, I was directing pieces. And then my senior year, I was fortunate enough to be elected as co-president and artistic director. So I basically oversaw the entire organization and the entire show. And there were, 200 participants. It was incredible.
Wow.
And it's such a great organization. I think it's one of the most important, and also one of the, I think should be highlighted as one of Con's strongest organization and movements. It really brings the entire community together, and it also gives back to the community. And I can't think of a better way to do that,
I mean, that is huge. I mean, I know Con started as a women's college, and the fact that they have this now and they're giving back, you're right, that should be touted, especially now with everything that's happening. So I may have to write a blog post on this, but also I'm thinking for you, you need to be getting cast on Big Little Lies. I mean, this is like the perfect alignment, right? I mean,
I love Big Little Lies.
I know they need to know that you did this because you understand the cause and everything. Reese, you need to have lunch with Reese. I mean, maybe you have a connection with her already, but she would love you. I mean, she would just this would be amazing. So that's my advice to you for the day. Okay. So thank you for doing that work. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for doing that work, though. That's amazing work. And the fact that it gives people a voice to talk about this thing that's taboo and people don't really want to talk about, but it gives them, it empowers them. And that's what I'm all about. So amazing.